It was hard to read a little bit. But once you got past all that, this book was good as hell. And when I say good as hell, I mean like made you want to do a little shimmy good. You know what I'm saying? What's up, fam? It's Cousin 5 back with another video. And as you can see, we are out here in beautiful Mother Nature, man. I'm in the park. It's a great day, sun shining. It's warm outside. So I figured why not, you know, take this opportunity to do a quick book review. You know what I mean? That's what we finna do. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. Let's get it. All right, y'all. So the first book we finna get into today is First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. I know I talk about this book a lot, but it's well worth it. So I'm gonna give y'all a brief explanation of this book before I really get into it. So basically this book is about a woman named Evie Porter, and she is going on missions on the account of her boss, who we gonna call Mr. Smith. So Mr. Smith sends her on these jobs to steal information from people because they have damaging information on his clients. So she goes in these people's lives and make them feel like she's the most trustworthy person in the world. She's genuine. She's there for them, to help them and all this. But that is not the case. But as she does that, she makes mistakes along the way that her boss is not fond of. So he sends her on a mission to see if she can prove herself and show that she's his best asset. So when she goes on these last mission, she starts to fall in love with her Mark. Her boss do not like that. He notices it and sends her a threat. And when he sent that threat, she felt threatened. So she started to make a plan against her boss. Her boss is trying to make plays against her, and it gets crazy, like super crazy. And as you know, somebody got to come out on top. So y'all got to read the book to find out. So first off, this book was good as fuck. Like, excuse my language, but I have no other way to describe it. As soon as I started reading this and I was a few pages in, like I was already locked in, like I was boxed in, you know what I'm saying? This book was amazing, and I think it was so good because it was just super descriptive. It was emotionally involving, and it was just easy as hell to read. Like I just sat down and read for hours on hours. So secondly, I like the structure of this book. It was super easy to follow, and I like that she strategically placed flashbacks to help you with the backstory of the main character, but then also goddamn help with the present relationships that she had going on right now. You know, that led into some of the jobs that she was doing and the people that she was meeting along the way. So again, the way that those flashbacks was placed, I think really helped me a lot in staying engaged with the book and really focusing on what was going on and how she got there. And then I really loved how this book moved super fast. It wasn't like dragging you out at the beginning. It wasn't trying to build this super fucking build up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it got right into it, but it also didn't move too fast to where you wasn't understanding what was going on. You know what I mean? You could understand the characters that was in play. You could understand what the main character was doing and how everything was moving. So I really appreciated how fast it moved, but it didn't move too fast, if that makes sense. Lastly, I think some of the key concepts that I really wanted to get into with this book are just about love, blind trust, and morality. You know, I think those are the three things that this book really deeply hits on, like below the surface. Love, because she was going on these missions and she didn't fall in love with none of her marks. She didn't do none of that. But it was this one specific mission which happened to be the most important, and she started to fall in love with her Mark. But she couldn't help it, you know? So then she started doing shit that kind of threw her back and put her in bad spots. But you can't help who you love sometimes, you know what I mean? And then secondly, with blind trust, she's a con artist for a living, but she made people believe that she was one of the most trustworthy people in the world. But at the end of the day, you never know what people's true intentions is, you know what I mean? And then lastly is the morality, because even though she's a con artist and she was doing all these terrible things to people, literally on every mission that she went on, she did something that was morally right, as far as like helping somebody or kind of letting them know what happened or giving them some sort of information that they would have not otherwise had if she wasn't there. You know what I mean? So even though it was also for selfish reasons, she was also trying to do the morally right thing. Pow! So the next book we finna talk about is Sula by Toni Morrison. And this was by popular demand. I told people I was reading this book, and when I tell you, everybody that I said I was reading this book to had something to say about it, that I needed to read this book ASAP, that I needed to read this book right now, today. So I read it, and I'm gonna review it right now, today. You feel me? So let's get into Sula. Basically, Sula is about two girls who grow up in this town called The Bottom. And The Bottom is basically at the top of a hill because the white folks told the black folk that the top was the bottom of heaven when they stayed in the valley where it was easy to grow food, stay from all these bad storms and all that stuff. So Nell and Sula, who are the main characters, are up at the bottom, if that makes sense. But they up there and they two peas in a pod. Like, they are inseparable. They think the same. They move the same. You see one, you see the other. But they grew up in two different like types of households. So as they grow together, they doing things together and just moving around in life. So as they get older, Sula moves away. So in that time, Nell gets married, has kids. Sula's off doing her thing. And then Sula comes back. And when Sula comes back, they meet up, you know, they talk and do their thing. But as I said before, they got two different personalities. So one of them did something to betray the other, and now they not talking. Now they beefing. And throughout the rest of the book, we trying to see if they can, you know, come back and rekindle their friendship. As we learn, a lot of stuff happened, and you just got to read the rest to find out, because the story is crazy. Sula crazy, Nell a little crazy, the town crazy. It's just a wild, wild book, but I do recommend it. So let's get into it. I ain't gonna lie. This book gave me real mixed emotions because at first it was hard to read. The way she was talking about everything in the book, it was like the 1890s or whenever this book was placed. And she was using like the language that they used back then. And I ain't really, I'm not accustomed to that. So it was hard to read a little bit. But once you got past all that, this book was good as hell. And when I say good as hell, I mean like made you want to do a little shimmy good. You know what I'm saying? And then Toni Morrison just spoke to so many themes and different ideologies through so many different characters in this book. And it's crazy because she was talking about defying social norms. She was talking about racism. She was talking about sexism with women and the things that they go through. You know what I'm saying? And it's just crazy the amount of shit that you can really get from this book when you really sit and pay attention to the words that you're reading. You know what I'm saying? And try to comprehend everything that she said. Because I'm not going to lie. A few of the things that she was writing, I had to go to Google to type it up real quick. But it paid off because once you understand what you're talking about, then you understand what she's talking about. You feel me? And if I'm going to be honest, this book started off super slow. Like, it started off slow and I almost didn't want to read it. But once I got past it, it just took off. Like the way that she set the scene and kind of made like almost lulled you to sleep and then threw you into the fire. Amazing. But overall, I'm glad y'all told me to read this book. I'm thankful for everybody who recommended this book because it's probably one of the top books that I've read so far, you know? So I appreciate y'all. If you haven't read this book, go get that shit right now, today. All right, y'all. So my last book and my best book is Blacktop, Wasteland. This is my favorite book out of these three, and this is by S.A. Cosby. Like, this book was fantastic. Like, I can't even describe in words how good this book was and how locked in I was as I was reading it. I pretty much loved almost everything about this book. I love the plot. I love the structure. I love the themes. I love just the message behind some of the things that they was talking about in this book. Like, this book was out of this world, if I'm gonna be honest. And I wish I could just sit here and read it again. Like, I know I can, but I got other books to read, you feel me? But I would definitely read this book again in the future. Because at the surface of this book, it's just about a black man who used to be a getaway driver, and he changed his life around. He's doing things the legal way, but shit ain't going good. You know what I mean? It's not going good. Definitely not as good as when he was a getaway driver. So somebody came up and told him that he got another play for him. He went ahead and did it. and that flipped his life upside down. So that's what it is at the surface. But beneath the surface, it gets a lot deeper than you would think. So when I say deep, I mean this book, the themes are crazy, because I feel that this book is basically about love, betrayal, and generational trauma. You know, those are the three things that I think this book really touch on, and I think they touch on it perfectly when you read it and pay attention to what they're saying. And I really appreciated how descriptive S.A. Cosby was in this book, because he set the scene of every scene so well that you didn't have to assume or think about one single thing that was going on in this book. And then the way he set the scenes, I just felt so connected with every single thing that was going on through this book, not only because of the author, but because I'm also a black male who's grew up in those environments, who's had to go through some of the things that the main character in this book went through. So I felt connected emotionally, and it was surreal, you know. And some of these moments in this book, I ain't gonna lie, almost made a real drop a tear. I ain't gonna cry, but yeah, I almost did, like this close. No cap. But overall, I would recommend this book to anybody, but especially to young black men, because like I said, this book has things about love, betrayal, generational trauma. And I think that as young black men, there's a lot to take away from this book. So just let y'all know that this is a phenomenal book. So if you don't got it, go get it. So that's all 3 books that I'm reviewing today. Y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think about these books, and let's talk about it in the comments. I want to see if y'all read these books and what y'all think about them, you know. So if y'all got any more recommendations for me, let me know. But that's that, man. Cousin 5 leaving the reunion. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I'll be back with more videos for y'all. Let's get it.